Welcome back, Outlaws. My name is Red Dead Jed, and here's a congrats to all of us for the 50 subscribers on the channel. Let's go! This is a small milestone for me as it is for all of you guys, so I really appreciate it. I know I have a lot of different kinds of content on here as well, but I'm hoping we can use this video or like these moments to, kind of come together and celebrate a little. And I figured, as you can tell by the title of the video, what better way than to show a bit, a bit more of me to you guys. So today, I'm actually going to be talking about positivity and what it means to me. Now, this is going to be a bit off the cuff style of video. I mainly just jotted my notes down, and I'm probably going to trail off here and there with my thoughts. I don't have a full script or anything, but it's my idea that, even for a few seconds, if you got a positive feeling from my words or my stories that I'm going to share, I'd consider that a win. So, without further ado, let's just jump in. Positivity. It's been used quite a lot in recent years. But I had this video idea / style for a while now, and I'm really happy to try to take a stab at it. And after we got the 50 subscribers, I figured what better way, right? So if I could level with everybody, I feel like there's a lot of stuff out there in the world, yeah? And right now, it feels all too easy to become overwhelmed. That you have your work, and you have your bills, and you have relationships and friendships, and then you have family, and then hobbies and other outside duties, a lot of things, right? There's so much just out there, yeah. And I'm also just like one of you guys, I'm a human. I go out there in the world. I think I mentioned a couple times I have a 9-to-5 office job. I have a large friend group, and in relationships and family. And there's a lot of things on my plate as well. But during my travels, I see so many people participating in, how would I say, like, I don't know, like silly acts. But I'm not here to judge or anything. I'm just mainly here to show what I would do, or like the things I would do when I feel like the world's upside down. Yeah. To get the easiest one out of the way, I love video games, right? So if I ever feel swamped with life, that's one of the go-tos for me. Just coming home, when I was a kid, you don't understand a lot of things, right? And a lot of things blow right over your head, but yet still kind of stick with you, like feeling wise, and emotions. You start learning new things as you gain a greater sense of your personality. And video games for me was a really nice retreat from the world back when I was in my elementary days. I would even say my junior year and even high school days. But friends were another big avenue of relief for me. I was very fortunate to meet very lovely people early on in my life, from neighborhood kids to, I think my local library had a gaming club when I was in junior high, and that is where I met a lot of people as well, because, well, I don't know how many, I think the people watching this are around my demographic, so if you guys do know this or not, but back then, video games used to not be as widely accepted in the mainstream. That's kind of a nice way to put it. Growing up, I remember hiding it a lot because, people would make fun of you. You're like, what? You play games? Like, what a nerd, right? Or stuff like that. So it was really cool meeting people and connecting outside of school, at like a library, for example, and we played like Smash and whatever the Call of Duty was at the time, and that was really huge for me when I was trying to figure out things about my life at the time. Yeah. And it really brought the best out of me, I feel. I will say, and sorry to the few people out there who remember me, I was really competitive, and definitely a sore loser. I think that's why I don't like fighting games nowadays, because I think the Smash game from Nintendo really, like, Wow, that really humbled. Well, I know I shouldn't even say humbled me. I was a sore loser. I literally walked in and I asked my buddy who I think it was is it Brawl? I asked who are the most broken characters because not only did I want to win, but I was just tired of losing because everyone else was actually good and I just had to play Meta Knight and Sonic to actually compete, and even then I wouldn't win. So anyway, sorry that was a tangent. But the point is that it really helped me shape my views about video games and what feelings you can generate when playing them and then also playing with the crowd, right? And then making friends off of that. And to bring it back to today, a more recent one is actually making videos. That's actually been really huge at keeping my vibes up. Yeah. Like seriously, it's been really fun to dive into video creation and a really great mood booster for all the grindy bits of life. I come home, after work. It's like around 5 p.m. I eat, do my whatever errands or chores I need to do, and then I go right into video creation, and that takes about 3 hours. Usually, so the rest of my day, and I just get lost. I have fun editing, and when I rewatch the clips and I get to see what's going on, and I'm like, man, that's really funny. I hope people like it too, and I know not all the time I'm just gonna be a happy, positive, go luckies in the videos, but I try to have a bit of a more of a mood booster because I know that people are gonna be watching, and then I know I'm gonna have to be editing it, and I'm sure some of you probably feel that way when you hear yourself on the phone or on a recording or something. You're like, like whose voice is that, right? And I kind of try to think about that and try to augment my perspective to be, hey, people are watching this. Let's be a bit more uppity. Let's be a bit more exciting. Let's be a bit more uh, kind where we need to be. Especially my children series, I really try to be extra kind on that. Um, but that's what got me thinking. How does it seem that I feel so positive about things? Yeah, when I know a lot of people can feel the opposite sometimes. Because I used to not always be like this. I actually, as I was hinting at earlier, I used to be different, and I used to look at the world differently. And even after learning a couple things about friendships and getting to know myself a bit more, like I still, I'm still human, yeah. So things still went wrong, and things still took a turn, sometimes for the worse. And yeah, I remember those times. It brought me down a lot, and it actually me looking back at that and then seeing how I am now and seeing how much I've improved my mood, how I've improved my mindset, and I've actually been living in this perspective of life for like years now, and I'm really proud of it. I think it's almost been 10 years now. Yeah, it was after my junior college days, I believe, or was it college too? I can't remember. Again, it's a little bit murky. It's a roller coaster ride, right? Life, people know life's a roller coaster ride. There's ups and downs and yada yada, but I have been very fortunate to look at life half full. There we go. Now I'm starting to make sense rather than half empty in my recent years. Well, recent years as in I think like 8 or 9 years or so. But having that sort of thought of like, man, like why do I feel so in a good mood when I know, some people may not be, and or they look at the world differently, glass half empty, for example. And it really brings me back to when I first started working. I'm going to quickly check. Am I still recording? Yes, I am still recording. All right. But yeah, it takes me back when I first started working. I was hired by Pink's Hot Dogs, shout out to them, as a cashier, and I would travel with them to a few events and a few fairs around across my state. And I remember in the beginning, I was really nervous, just like anybody, right? When you first start entering the workforce. And I noticed that nervousness, would affect my work and my attitude. Now, I don't think I was like lazy or I think I was really proud of myself to do good. I really wanted to do good. So I had that as a base plate, but I did get nervous a lot, and I could tell it affected my attitude a lot. But then eventually I would see my fellow coworkers who've also been working there, but working there a lot longer than me. And, to be honest, they seem to have like, kind of be at the limits of their work, but for some reason, the cooks especially, they'd be like cracking jokes, and laughing at each other, sometimes teasing each other, and really making a better time out of things. And I think that really stuck with me. And I eventually, after working alongside them, I started to pick up that too, and I decided, Yeah, like, so what if I'm nervous, at a job, or if like I mess up an order, a customer's order and they come back to me, or I give someone's change wrong or something like that, right? Like there's a lot of things that could go wrong, but at the same time, I can choose just to be more positive and especially be more positive about what was happening at work. And what's crazy is that it worked for me. Um I started to get so joyful about, I don't know, everything when I was working at this hot dog stand that I even started receiving compliments, from customers and my coworkers, and they'd all say, like, oh, I remember that, Jed, why are you so happy all the time? Or like, oh, Jed, how you seem to be in a good mood, or Jed, what keeps you going? Stuff like that. And at the time, I actually didn't even know. Like right now, I'm looking back and I can tell you that, oh, I wanted to be more positive and I changed my outlook. But at the time, I couldn't really say. I think I remember saying things like, I don't know, I just feel good. But that's because I started to shift my perspective of my situation, and it started to, and therefore my situation started to change. Like I could have kept being nervous and frustrated at bad customers or whining coworkers, and then thrust myself into feeling upset or complain, or I could understand that what I'm given is to be appreciative and then to share that to others. Uh, Share that there's other things to still be positive about. Even when the universe decides to throw stuff at you. Yeah, and I don't know. It was just really easy for me to transition that mindset while at work from getting stressed out about things to just, hey, you know what? Things are gonna be okay. Have fun with it. I don't know how old was I? Seven? No, not seven. 19. I was 19 or 20 or something. I can't really remember. And I was just like, yeah, my 19, 20-year-old out here cooking, handing out hot dogs, taking people's orders on a sunny day. And I don't know, it was just a vibe. And my coworkers definitely helped out here and there, but a lot of it uh, was just my mind. I just told myself, hey man, it's okay. Like things are gonna be okay. And guess what? After so many years working there, things did turn out okay. And I would carry that sort of thinking when going through my other different jobs. I worked excuse me, I worked after the hot dog place, I worked in pizza, and then I worked in marketing and digital marketing and housework, and I really tried to kind of carry that sort of positivity with me, you know? Um and well, I guess now kind of a huge transition, we're going to take a huge left turn because life does do that sometimes, but it was only at work that I was really emphasizing this sort of positivity, because once I left home and outside of life, it wasn't always so easy to convince myself. When I was by myself, in the long hours of the night, just me in my head or something, and I'm just, and stuff gets to you, right? So it was really interesting to see that kind of dynamic for me personally. But I was very fortunate to have really, really great friends, and they reminded me every step of the way to be positive about yourself, to be grateful of the little things, all these kind of sayings you hear that I'm sure I'm going to be, oh, I probably should have stated this in the beginning of the video. I'm going to be beating a dead horse about this sort of positivity and saying that a lot, right? Because, yeah, even like I was hinting at earlier, life's a roller coaster, up and downs. Even after work, I would still have low moments, right? I would still go through very, very uncomfortable things at home, and I would just be so lost in my head all the time. But yeah, my friends, either gaming through gaming or when we would go out to hang out, I was very fortunate to have them because they being in a very positive friend group, or just being a very positive group, being surrounded by people who like genuinely care about you and want you to succeed. And sure, maybe not always they'll be like, hey, you're doing a great job, dude, or like, yeah man, keep kicking it, like, sure, they're not doing that all the time, but it's more of like they would hang out with you, and they'll you guys will talk about things you enjoy and things like that. And then during some moments you'll get a little deeper with each other about conversations and the like, especially for me, outside of my personal views of myself, how I looked at myself, there was, well, what do you think a bunch of guys are going to talk about? There's how to date women, and then how to be, how to be comfortable with your masculinity in the world, in the changing world, and stuff like that, right? And eventually I would channel these feelings and start changing my views about my singular life, basically outside of work, And I'll never forget, I had a really great friend that I still talk to regularly today. He told me once that, it is a miracle that we get to breathe. Yeah. And as simple as that sounds right now, at the time, it was something I really needed to hear. And sure enough, years later, he's right. Because I think it is a real blessing to be here and to be alive and to enjoy these things and can do these things. And, well, I'm just very happy that I am where I am today. Now, I understand that waking up one day a different person seems very improbable, right? And for me, it took me, like I was hinting at before, it took me years before understanding the importance of keeping the moods up, keeping your mental health in check, right? And I'm really happy right now. I think in today's day and age, a lot of, especially Gen Zers, they're really focusing on mental health. And I think I'm glad that that's becoming more widespread, but now I think the conversation should be start changing from, oh, hey, mental health is important to, oh, hey, how do you maintain it? Because maintaining it is something that is just as important as when you first kind of get over that hump to achieve a certain level of, a healthy mindset. Because, not all the time, because I think what people kind of forget sometimes, sorry, I have my notes just jotted down everywhere, but people forget sometimes that it's not just happiness that's an important emotion, right? It's also emotions like sadness and anger that are actually still important to the human core. Because the emotions are what's, that's what really makes us human, right? And it's not so much about having these emotions that should be bad or should be looked down upon, right? Because I know when people say, oh, sadness or anger, like, oh, I don't want to be angry all the, or not all the time, but I don't want to show anger. I don't want to be sad, but those are actually important still, because it's how you choose to express those feelings, right? That's what's important. It's how you, having those feelings is okay, and then it's how you express it, your actions from it that you should be mindful of, right? How you express your anger, how you express your, how even you express your happiness, right? And for positivity, that's what I choose to be. Everyone remembers hearing being compassionate towards others, right? That's something that a lot of us heard growing up. And once I learned how, right, I then focused on being compassionate towards oneself. Taking the time to understand these new feelings, sitting down and writing out my thoughts, talking to others about emotions, human life, etc., learning new things, and then being an active listener. Yeah, an active listener is not just hearing the other person, but asking questions, right? Engaging in the conversation. One thing I used to do a lot in my early 20s, and my friends would criticize for me of it, and I understand. I would get too comfortable with people, but I like talking to people, and I would talk to even strangers sometimes, right? But I never once had a bad encounter. My friends apparently say I had a close call, but I was really huge on just getting to know people, hearing their slice of life, even just for like a 1 to 2 minute conversation, and just to get an insight of how they are, and then taking stuff from that conversation, translating it for my own, and then seeing like, okay, like, wow, that was cool, that was interesting. This person lives like this, and I live like that, and I'm probably not doing a good job at explaining it, but if you ever do that, if you ever decide to like strike up a conversation with somebody and you guys kind of get lost in a conversation for a bit, it's really something, but because then you get to, oh yeah, sorry, I have it right here, learn different techniques. So talking with these people, getting the insights from them, then you can learn stuff that they did or stuff that they didn't want to do, and you can take that for your own. Different techniques is what I kind of call it. Because again, it's how you choose to learn, right? And it's how you choose to see things, right? And thus how you choose to hold on to things. Seeing other people doing positive things made it more likely for me to do the same. All right. Now, I know I'm all over the place, right? But hopefully there was something there that you heard and it stuck with you, right? I know I'm just one dude in a huge ecosystem on YouTube, right? But I did all this. I did this all the time on my journey to be more positive, right? Being an active listener, choosing how I see things and things like that. And I remember at college, I had really great professors, and they would even point this out, right? So to put it into, to give you guys a really good real life example, my college professors would even point out that the notion of everything in their lecture will not stick with you, right? But then there were some moments where your brain will lock in, and they would tell us when those moments come to, choose to keep it. So for example, I remember I had this one professor in my Civil War history class. I'm a history major, so I took a bunch of history classes, and he was talking on and on and on about the Civil War. I was still interested in it, but you can tell my brain was starting to drift towards the end. And then he mentioned something, I believe it was about writing the essay that was coming up. And he said something along the lines of, hey, I'm not saying I can tell you this because, I'm your college professor, but a lot of important historical figures in the past, they would use substances to enhance whatever projects they were working on, right? And he was a big whiskey guy. He would say that a lot. So, if you're reading between the lines, I knew what he was saying, but he wasn't telling us to do it, right? And that stuck with me. So then when I started to write my paper, I was like, you know what? I want to try to get a feel of, how some of these very famous historians, or I shouldn't say very famous historical people would conduct some of their speeches, big engineering projects, heck, even something simple as like a poem, So I was like, okay, I'm gonna inebriate myself with a little bit of, I think, what whiskey was it? I forgot what it was, and I wrote the paper out. I turned it in, and I got an A. And it was one of those things that just really clicked with me of like, oh man, like I even looked at my paper and I read through some of it and I was like, dude, I don't even remember writing some of this stuff. But it was that notion of how sometimes when someone is talking to you, you'll have like I am right now, 10, what is it right now? 10, 15-minute conversation, but only like 5 seconds of it mattered to you. And whatever it was, it mattered to you and your brain chose to keep it. And if you're like me, it would repeat in your head a couple times, and then you would take that and do something with it, right? So that's the sort of engagement, like active listening, I'm kind of talking about, because it really meant something to you, especially if you can do something with it, right? Like for me, I did something with it, and turns out it worked, and I got a really good grade on it. I really enjoyed my college classes. All right, sorry, that was really rambly, but like I was hinting at earlier, discovering positivity isn't the end all be all. It's not just a choice, but it's a constant choice. You're constantly making decisions. You can easily decide how to walk. You can easily decide how to walk with a lighter heart, just as you can easily decide how to do the opposite. Yeah. And one of the ways I like to maintain my positivity is by reminding myself where I came from. You can tell I've kind of been repeating that a lot. Yeah. I'm feeling happy, of how far I've come mentally and emotionally. If you want to be more technical, meditation helps a great ton, as does talking with people, right? And of course, guilty pleasures like video games also really, really help. But those are things that help to me. If you're at this part and you're trying to find things that make you feel the same way, go out there and try new things, or go out there and try things that you felt were very positive to you. If I can go off real quick about why I chose to be a history major, this was actually a really great example of that. In college, I actually went into business, and because I wanted to be a CPA. Oh, I think a car went by. But I wanted to be a CPA because I took some accounting classes in high school, and I actually enjoyed it. It was just a bunch of numbers typing into a machine and helping people with their taxes, right? However, the journey to get there once you hit college was a different story, and I was not enjoying the business classes, and I had a really horrible time, and I did drop out for a bit. And I remember sitting there and wondering, like, okay, what the heck am I going to do now? Like, I thought this thing that I wanted to do would make me happy, and it's not. And sure enough, I heard the same advice of, okay, well, hey, why don't you go back to your subjects of all your whole educational career up to that point, go back to your subjects and just see where did you perform the best. And as you can guess, where I performed the best was social studies in elementary school. world history in high school, and then of course various different history classes in my community colleges. And you can see a sharp difference between history getting an A or a B, and then math and science getting like a C and a B minus. So I basically took that and I ran with it. And it's kind of the same thing I'm kind of telling you here, except that's a big decision. But it can be something as simple as a hobby. Let's say reading. Let's say you dropped off of reading and you haven't read in a while, but it used to make you feel really positive about life. So why don't you pick up a new book again? Or heck, uh, even doing what is it? I walked by my one of the city's downtowns and they had like a cooking class or something, and I was like, oh shit, that sounds really cool. I've never done that before. Why don't I go ahead and try it out? So it's just those kinds of things to maintain again that positive mindset, because you can choose. Uh, sorry, it's a choice to be positive, but it is a constant choice, right? You have to constantly choose to be that way when appropriate, because like I said earlier, there are also emotions like sadness and anger and other things that are very important, right? Like, having something pass away, you're allowed to feel sad about that. Okay. I've been talking a lot, so let me know how you guys feel. It's time to turn this question to you. If you made it this far, I'd really love to take this notion and see how many different views, all of you guys out there might have. As you can tell, positivity means a great deal to me, and it's always my pleasure to, shed a bit of that and to kind of place it onto others. Because honestly, you never know. One kind comment towards a fellow person, it might just make their day. Thank you guys for watching and for listening to me rant. I hope I'm dubbing them campfire talks, does really well, as I feel, a lot of people can use this sort of messaging. Yeah, nothing wrong with a little bit of positivity. But until next time, safe travels, outlaws. Be seeing you.